whites. You had to appeal more to younger voters. You had to appeal more to women. But it was presented not only as a political necessity to win elections, because we'd only won the popular vote once since 1988 in presidential votes. It was presented as a moral mandate that if you are going to deserve the right to be the governing party of this big, confusing, loud, changing country, you needed to reflect that. So then Donald Trump comes along, and you can almost hear this audible sigh of relief when all that got thrown out. We go, well, thank God we don't have to pretend we care about this stuff. We can just win with white folks. And we can just be comfortable with that. And I mean, it just showed how phony it was.
How did you get into politics?
So I grew up in Mississippi in the bad old Mississippi burning days. And at that time, the essential question that defined all politics was really only a Democratic Party thing, was a phrase that people would use, are you good on race or bad on race? And that basically came down to whether or not you're a segregationist or not. My family was of that category of moderate white middle-class voters who were good on race. And my parents had been close to a man named William Winter. They'd gone to Ole Miss with him, who was running for governor in 1967 against the last avowed segregationist who ran for governor in Mississippi, a guy named John Bell Williams. So I was a kid, and I worked in that campaign and did the things you did, like walking precincts. And it was incredibly dramatic. I have this vivid memory of being in a high school locker room down in South Mississippi on the Gulf Coast with William Winter and my father and some other men. And William Winter was supposed to give a speech Friday night in a high school stadium, and there had been death threats. And these men were trying to convince him not to go out. And, Winter, like most gubernatorial candidates even today, had no formal security, but these were former law enforcement people, some current law enforcement people, including my dad, who'd been an FBI agent. And Winter was a very tough guy. And he said, no, I'm going to do this. And somebody went out and got one of those old-fashioned big bulletproof vests, and he put it on. And these men went out to the car and got rifles and brought it out under their coats. And then Winter went out there. And I just remember seeing this, and I just thought, this is the bravest thing I've ever seen. And if this was politics, how could you not be drawn to it? So that's really when I fell in love with politics. And I've always kind of had three interests in my life: politics, film, and writing, and I've tried to pursue all three. And I'm one of those lucky guys that have been able to do avocations out of these passions.
Right, you went to the UCLA Film School, and that led you to doing political commercials. One of the things, as I've covered politics, I didn't realize until I started looking at campaign finance reports how well media consultants can do in campaigns, because good for a fairly costs a lot of money to place a lot of ads on TV and whatever, and media consultants typically keep like a percentage of that ad budget, like 15% or so, as I recall. I mean, so if you have a $10 million ad budget, that can be a lot of money for a political consultant. This is not just fun, but you can make a good living at it too, can't you?
Yeah, listen, in a just world in which teachers made more than NBA players, consultants would make less than teachers. We're a weird aberration of the American political system. There's not even a mention of parties in the Constitution. There's isn't a mention of political consultants. I fell into it, and I discovered that people would actually hire me to make commercials. No one would hire me to write at the time. And I could do it kind of like migrant labor work. I could go work in a campaign, and then in the off season, I could try to write. Then eventually I got to a point where people would pay me to write. But I kept doing it. And for me, what I really loved about it was the competition. I would fall into that category of hyper-competitive. And I loved that you won or lost. And I liked how different it was in writing. You did it with a group of people. And there was a score. And I just fell into that. I got into being a gunslinger. And, the secret to success in a political consulting is to work for people who are going to win anyway.